I'm Megan. I'm Kristy.
We are
Homebrew Murder Crew. ASMR.
That's like deep throat the mic.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to a microbrew. A la Kristy Lee. Again. Wait, you did the last micro.
I'm the last go.
Oh shit. This is okay. So yeah, well, it's all good. We just finished recording your episode, your regular. And so yeah. Oh yeah, you did this on this side so that you kind of like to have like
The direction of the camera.
yeah. So talk to me, okay? All right.
You sideways.
Always sideways. Call me Sally. I guess we'll just get right into it. Yeah, okay, all right. I'm bringing you something that's like dark history, actually.
I love
Why do I look so foggy over on this side?
Sounds dirty.
I look like this. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Great London Fog of 1952.
Nice. This is kind of, didn't you do one recently on like blobs?
I did.
Like blobs?
And you know what? I have a plan for my next one, which I don't know if it's going to be a microbrew or a regular one, but after listening to a recent replay episode of Mortgage, that was one of their fan favorites.
Oh, nice.
I'm not going to say it because I don't want to give it away, but there's another one I want to do that is like highly interesting and probably should not have been Googling images of it at work, but either way. Okay. So, the Great London Fog, smog of 1952.
Like smog? Like the dragon from...
No, not Puffin.
No, the dragon from the Lord of the Rings. Or from the Hobbit.
Oh, okay.
Schmog.
No, not smog. So, as you all know, there is a tea out there called the London Fog.
I love a London fog.
This has absolutely nothing to do with the London Fog. In
That's
fact, like fog is pretty common in that area.
Interesting.
Anyway, so, but this great fog, smog, this is a fog that blanketed the city of London in December of 1952, and it wasn't your standard kind of fog. So fog forms, we're going to go do a little science together here, okay? So fog forms when water vapor in the air condenses into tiny water droplets, which hang in the air. My name is Silent Fingers, and this is Hubert Cumberbatch. I've been really joking around with my coworkers with salad fingers lately, and then Morbid went ahead and did an episode where
I know.
Ash was salad.
I saw
And it was so fun. I literally normally I listen to it, but I watched it on YouTube this time. And I ate an edible first, and it was amazing.
Oh,
and I might do that again tonight.
Yeah, I kind of saw like a clip of it, and I was like super confused. And I knew exactly who she was.
Because yeah,
She's dressed up as salad.
yeah, it was so fun. I'm looking at
You know what?
it.
Salad fingers is terrifying.
Yeah.
I like he used to freak me out. Like
Rusty spoons. Yeah. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, it's fog forms when water vapor in the air condenses into tiny water droplets, which hang in the air. And this can happen through a few processes. So one process is cooling. When the air near the ground cools, it can't hold as much water vapor. So the water vapor condenses into fog. And this can happen after rain when the ground cools down and the air near it cools as well. The second process would be mixing. So when moist air mixes with cooler, drier air, the moist air cools until it reaches 100% humidity and fog forms. Now, this can happen when cold air moves over warm water or when warm raindrops evaporate into a cooler layer of air near the ground. Now, the third way is adding moisture. So when water vapor is added to the air through evaporation, it can mix with cooler air and form fog. This is common over wet surfaces, like after it rains on a warm day or over bodies of water. Now, the fog in London that December was actually toxic and hazardous to breathe.
Yeah, sorry.
Part on what? So this phenomenon of quote, London fog quote, long predated the crisis of the early 1950s. So known as pea supers for their dense yellow appearance, such all-encompassing fogs have become a hallmark of London by the 19th century. But polluted fog was an issue in London as early as the 13th century due to the burning of coal. And then the situation only worsened as the city continued. We had an alert on. So just read that for a second. Now I lost fucking spot. Situation only worsened as the city continued to expand. Complaints about smoke and pollution increased in the 1600s when ultimately ineffective legislation was passed under King James I to restrict coal burning. Rapidly increasing industrialization as well that began in the late 1700s with the Industrial Revolution made conditions even worse. Now, during the immediate aftermath of the fog of 1952, officials believed that the effects like bronchitis, pneumonia, and cardiovascular problems killed 4,000 people. So they believed, based on the numbers that they had, that they killed 4,000 people in the span of 5 days, you guys.
Oh my God.
Okay, in the span of 5 days.
What?
However, recent research has raised that number to a whopping 12,000.
12,000 in 5 days.
Yes. Well, I think like not all in 5 days, just like a duration of this heavy fog, or so obviously it caused these conditions or worsened pre-existing conditions in people, which caused long-term effects that eventually these people succumb to. If that makes sense. Yeah. I have this piece of hair that's just tickling my chinny chin check. Okay. So for the entirety of the 4 days, that the fog lingered around London, people couldn't see more than a few feet in front of them.
I hate that.
Anyone walking on the streets had to be careful not to run into somebody else, like coming the other way, who would appear seemingly out of nowhere. Before all vehicle traffic was shut down, because they did have to do that, crossing the street was hazardous, and people reportedly couldn't even see their own feet. So the thickness of the fog made it tough for everyone to see where they were going, or for anyone to, which obviously made traveling by vehicle incredibly dangerous as well. People couldn't see the traffic signals at intersections. Pedestrians couldn't see oncoming traffic. Traffic couldn't see oncoming pedestrians. It was just a hot fucking mess.
In Calgary, I feel like people can't see 2 feet in front of them when they're driving on a day.
No kidding. Seriously. In order to keep the residents of the city safe, an entire shutdown was needed.
Oh my God.
Trains were stopped. Boats on the Thames couldn't. Is it a Thames?
Yeah, Thames.
Couldn't continue on their paths, and cars stayed. I feel like it's pronounced something different. The Thames, Thames, but I'm
Thames.
no, I just think it's weirdly. I don't forget, but I'm uneducated, so.
I am also uneducated.
So cars stayed in streets where their owners had to basically just abandon them to head home on foot.
Wild.
And the only thing that was operating was the tube, because it was underground.
Oh, interesting. That'd be interesting.
So as we frequently see when disaster strikes, criminals had a heyday. They took advantage of the low visibility. And since the fog made it tough to see more than several feet in front of you at a time, the crime rate went up. Burglars broke into homes under the cover of fog, and thieves stood on the street corners in what was left of broad daylight, and they snatched women's purses when the opportunity arose.
Of course. People suck.
People suck. People have always sucked and continue to suck. No one could see the purse snatchers, who only had to walk away and disappeared into the fucking fog. Like, it's like that fucking Homer Simpson meme where he just like blends back into the bush.
Yeah.
It's like that. They just had to walk away and disappear in the fog where law enforcement couldn't find them. Furthermore,
That's hilarious.
unlike normal fog, which is white and wispy, the fog that blanketed London in December 1952 was not. Instead, it consisted of yellow and black particles that clung to various surfaces.
Sounds like poop.
People's faces were left with blackened stains just by going outside.
Ew.
It's like here when we get like the forest fires blow in and everything gets covered in soot.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Only it's not like that at all. It's completely different.
Yeah. It's a pretty good comparison.
Analogy.
Yeah.
If you will. So yeah, people's faces were blackened with stains, and sidewalks became greasy and slippery. And the city was generally just fucking filthy. So the fog was caused by an anticyclone in a large body of warm air that moved in and essentially pushed the existing cold air to the ground, trapping it in place.
Okay.
Usually when this happens, the winds will come along and they'll move all of that shit along and move it on their way.
Yeah.
However, that didn't happen this year. Interesting. Instead, there were no winds, so everything just kind of stayed in place and fucking festered for days.
That's disgusting.
Essentially grinding life to a halt.
I bet it smelled that.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, that tasted bad.
Ew.
How do you could taste that shit?
Look.
Scientists studying the problematic fogs in China recently came to the conclusion that the 1952 London fog consisted of tiny particles of sulfuric acid produced by the after effects of burning coal for heat and industrial pollution. So that particular winter had been very cold, and coal was the only method of heating homes and businesses at the time. So obviously there was excessive coal use and coal burning, but coal is messy, obviously, and burning it produces a lot of dirty air, especially without air scrubbers in place. So air scrubbers are just devices that help remove harmful elements from the air and surfaces, improving air quality and making spaces safer and more comfortable, but they didn't really have that back then. So how does an air scrubber work? Just for your information, it's a filter. It filters and blowers to move particles, gases, and other contaminants from the air. The blower will pull the air through the filters and exhausts the filtered air out. They can remove a range of impurities, including mold, dust, asbestos, fingers, lead, chemical fumes, VOCs, pet dander, odors, metallic, and wooden particles.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what the VOCs are.
Kristy, science gal.
Did you know that I actually share a birthday with Bill Nye, the science guy? So that was actually
fucking cool.
Yeah.
And your birthday was just like the other day.
last Wednesday.
Yeah.
So in this case, coal burning produced a mixture of nitrogen and sulfur dioxide, which turned into sulfuric acid. Anyone familiar with basic chemistry understands the dangers of sulfuric acid. Like, imagine having it overtake the atmosphere for days.
Yeah.
And since the ambulance drivers couldn't see where the fuck they were going,
oh shit,
some of them had helpers walk slightly in front of their vehicles to help guide them. But the service eventually shut down. So now not only are people, like thousands of people are getting sick by the fog, they're in need of hospitalization, but they have nowhere to get there, or they have to get there on foot, which means going outside and worsening their symptoms, which they probably already have COPD, and their lungs are probably shattered and like just shredded from breathing in this disgusting air, right? So it's just, yeah. Firefighters had the same problem traveling in their vehicles. The fog made it difficult for them to fight any fires, although they did already have masks to keep from breathing in the toxic air. But they still can't see. Pharmacies, or as they're known in British terms, chemists, they took advantage of the fog and came up with a series of smog masks to sell to the public. Now, unfortunately, these masks were both expensive and also hard to come by. So what does this remind you of? So many people had to use what they had on hand. Handkerchiefs, scarves, and basic strips of fabric. Or in COVID times, when people would put a 4-liter jug of empty milk jug over their head and go to the grocery store, or what are some other fucking crazy ass fucking things that people came up with?
Oh my God.
Pads, like sanitary pads,
Laundry baskets.
People are nuts. People always be people in ever since the dawn of time. So they used what they could to like mask their mouth and nose for extra protection when they went outside. I need to like not slouch because I'm gonna get a hunchback.
Yeah, because I already have hunchback.
Yeah, I told you.
I saw a ghost, by the way.
Did you?
Spirit just went.
Where's that face? It's because of this.
But
There, that's better.
That's way better. When you do that playback, you'll see it. It just went.
Oh, there was a fly that went during your episode, and it actually looked like one of those wispy orbs.
Fuck,
it was
crazy.
Probably a fly. It was
probably the same thing. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
we'll see it in the playback.
So the Smithfield Show was an annual event that took place at the Earl's Court Exhibition Centre in London. Now, people would come from all over England to show off their well-bred livestock. Now, unfortunately, the show was going on during the fog. 11 prize heifers choked to death on the acrid air that smelled like rotten eggs. And owners had to quickly create gas masks out of burlap in order to save the others.
Oh,
I know.
That's so terrible.
And then on top of this, birds, they're not able to see where they're going, so they're fucking running into buildings, breaking their fucking necks. So in all, thousands of animals died over the 4 days of fog.
That is so
And
much sadder than my 12,000 people that died.
We're so sorry.
It's just kidding.
I'm sure that is probably understand how I know you're not joking. You don't need to.
There was a bird that died this week at my office. So I'm sitting at my desk and my phone, so my work phone starts lighting up.
Yeah.
And my boss is sending me pictures, so I open it up and she's like, Megan, go save the bird. And she sends me a screenshot from our security camera of like these magpies circling a pigeon.
Oh.
So I run outside and I looked at the magpies flew away, but the pigeon was and I kind of like humped it with my foot. This is like I was like, oh damn, it's dead. So I had to bag it. I wanted to bag it, like I wanted to get rid of it and put it in the dumpster. But I didn't want the magpies just like tearing apart out front of our store, our office, sorry. Yeah. And then I'm like standing there and looking, and there's a tree, and there's like 10 fucking magpies just sitting in this tree, just like looking where the bird was. And I was like, I fucking hate magpies.
Anyways, this summer a bird flew into our window at the clinic while I was sitting in reception, and I went out and I took a poop bait, I scooped it, tied it, threw it in the horror freezer.
I don't have access to a horror freezer, but if I did,
then like it will just come and cremate it. Yeah. But yeah, it's sad because like all these animals are dying, and then just imagine once the fog lifts and you see like all these the aftermath of that. Oh,
that's terrible.
Terrible. So during the killer fog, authorities encouraged parents to keep their children home from school. As we said before, ambulances were, by we, I mean me, ambulances were, and my other personalities, so we, as we said before, ambulances were unable to operate in the city. And basically all weekend events were canceled due to the fact that no one could fucking see anything. So what's fair enough? But that didn't stop the hallowed institutions Cambridge and Oxford from holding their annual cross-country race at Wimbledon Common in London. And now, I mentioned that the masks reminded us of something, but what does this remind you of? This reminds me of COVID times when everything is shut down and you need a fucking vaccine passport to go anywhere. But guess what? The show must go on, and the Calgary Stampede still continue.
Or when fucking Calgary has their fucking water crisis and we're not allowed to fucking shower for like 3 months, and then hey, Stampede, all of a sudden the water's back. Like
ride the log ride. Oh, Turn off our mics for a second there. I think I hit the cord for that. I think we're good.
We're good. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely absurd.
Yeah. That sounds about right. What did you say? What did you say earlier? People. Yeah.
So track marshals helped guide runners around the course. Wimbledon Common again. The track marshals helped guide runners around the course as they intermittently became visible in thick, syrupy haze.
Wow.
Probably not the best substance to be breathing into your lungs during a challenging aerobic event, but what the fuck do I know? I'm just a receptionist. I don't. It doesn't say how many.
I know, but I'm sure.
Undoubtedly, though, the Great Smog made the exterior throughways of London impassable, rendering visibility essentially non-existent. However, it wasn't limited to the outside. The fog made its way indoors. Oh, yes, it did. Of course. Movie theaters, for example, couldn't operate as a thick yellow substance began to cake onto and discolor the movie screens. It's like when you're like smokers who smoke in their cars.
Oh, yeah.
And then their windshield just has that fucking nicotine film on it. I know because I used to smoke in my car and I never will ever again.
No.
Mostly because I had a child.
Vape does that too.
He does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie theaters can operate. Indoor opera concerts also had to be canceled as a result to the interior fog. Specifically, news from the period reports that the Sadler's Wells Theatre had to end a performance of La Traviata after the first act because the auditorium had filled with fog. Oh no! Somebody left the door open. Hey man, who let the fog in? I'm so sorry. I'll see myself.
Wow. The race went on.
The incredibly limited visibility caused by the fog made it dangerous to even step outside. Some unwitting pedestrians stumbled into the Thames and drowned because they couldn't see the massive fucking river
that they knew was always there.
It's always been there. It doesn't move. It wasn't just London that suffered under the choking blanket of the fog. As far away as Glasgow, cases of pneumonia skyrocketed. And some estimates say they even tripled.
Lord and Lord.
And then I touched my screen and it fucking
jumped.
The consequences of the Great London Fog, or smog, prompted Parliament to pass the Clean Air Act 4 years later, which marked a turning point in the history of environmentalism.
Nice.
So the Clean Air Act of 1956 was a landmark piece of legislation that addressed air pollution in the United Kingdom after the Great Smog of 1952. So the Clean Air Act of 1956 included the following measures. Number 1, smoke control areas. Local authorities were given the power to declare smoke control areas and ban emissions of smoke, grit, dust, and fumes in those areas. Also, no farting. I'm kidding. Number 2, grants for homeowners. So homeowners were given grants to help them convert to cleaner fuels such as gas, electricity, or smokeless solid fuel. Number 3, factory emissions. The Act controlled dark smoke emissions from factories and furnaces. So the Clean Air Act of 1956 is considered a milestone in environmental protection, and it laid the foundation for future pollution control measures, such as the Clean Air Act of 1968 and the Environment Act of 1995. So that is, it was a turning point for environmentalism, and
I love that.
It spread worldwide. And now our ozone is thinning. I honestly can't stop talking like that. Probably my new favorite thing. But silent fingers.
I once read somewhere. Oh, it's true. My phone is open. I can't fact check. But apparently, Calgary has the cleanest air in like the world or something. What? Yeah, I was on my phone. It might just be Canada.
It's not charged yet.
It's a little bit charged enough. It's really bit charged. It's really bit charged enough. 33%. Perfect. Yeah. I remember reading that somewhere. I need to fact check this real quick, guys.
But also, like, I mean, you think of cities like Toronto and stuff like, and New York and Los Angeles, like all of those places, like around large bodies of water, kind of retain that pollution and that fog and that smog too.
Yeah.
And considering how fucking dry we are in the prairies, basically it does that. I hope you guys enjoyed that little London fog episode. I really like doing my urus.
Yeah. Okay, let me see here. What is my hair like? Okay. I cannot find it. But I saw it once upon a time that Calgary had the lowest air pollution. Where was somewhere?
Alexa, who has the lowest air pollution in the world?
From japantimes.co.jp. French Polynesia, Mauritius and Iceland had the lowest levels of air pollution.
I was wrong.
Well,
check that.
Alexa, which major city in the world has the lowest air pollution?
From thetravel.com. Honolulu, USA, Auckland, New Zealand, and Brisbane, Australia are among the cities with the cleanest air in the world, thanks to their strict environmental regulations and low pollution levels.
Oh, hey, Alexa, that's enough. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Alexa. So I was wrong. We'll scratch that. Good thing we fact check is doing this. Yeah. Anyways, Kristy, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I need to go take my dogs for a walk now.
That was very educational.
Thank you. I feel like tonight was educational.
It was. We learned a lot about a lot.
Thing.
We sure did.
We'll be people in though,
Be people in always.
Make sure you check out Megan's episode.
Yes. Link episode.
Share with Sugar Bear. Share us. Share your love for us. Tell us what you like about us to all your friends and family so we can have more followers.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys don't need to know where to find us because you're already here.
So, yes, you are.
With that, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on another time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.